Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome back to the channel. My name is still ProSec, and this is McRaeathon 2022. We're going to get into a fantastic run of the game Outrun by DigitalDuck. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so this is a game that needs no introduction, but I'll give it one anyway. Let me reset just to make sure we are starting from a clean thing. So this is Outrun. It's a very famous racing game, arcade racing game from the 80s. We're going to start off by setting the difficulty level to Pro, because what's the point in playing on anything other than Pro? I'm also going to adjust the controls the way I like it. And we're just going to start really early on. We're going to introduce it as we go on. So we'll switch to Magical Soundtrack, because that's the best one, and start in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, this is Outrun. This is not the original arcade version. This is the Mega Drive version. There are a few differences, but for the most part, it is fairly arcade accurate. And I've got a dog running beside me. Ignore that. Generally speaking, what we want to do is we want to drive, not crash into anything, not go off the road. Standard fare. We do have a low and a high gear, but for the most part, we will be staying in the high gear, because we're going to try not to crash. The courses are fixed, and we have the rather infamous thing of being able to choose where we go at the end of every course. Because we're doing an all stages run, we will have to take every course at least once. So this means we will run through the game 5 times, taking different paths as we go. While the courses are fixed, the cars are not. I'm not sure if they're like actually truly RNG, or if it's just if you make very slight differences in your driving, they'll be different. But in either case, they're effectively RNG, so we kind of have to react to them as we go. And that's not a good way of reacting to it. That's a crash. There is one thing we can do to kind of avoid crashing for the most part, and that's the fact that the car hitboxes are much smaller than they look. If you are on a lane and you are... Okay, that's 2 crashes, that's not good. If you're in a lane, like on the straight, and you are exactly in the middle of the lane, so your rear view mirror is basically touching the white line, generally speaking, you are immune to cars in both lanes, both to the left and to the right. So you can actually squeeze in between lanes like that. For the most part, we're just going to be driving and trying not to crash. Yeah, I'm out of things to say for this game.
Quite simple indeed. So, how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I've been playing this game. Like, I started off when I was younger. Like, I had this game on the Mega Drive and learned it and played it. When I got into playing Shenmue, I started learning the arcade version because it's included with Shenmue 2. And I kind of stopped playing this version altogether because I started playing Outrun 2 instead. And I've just kind of got back into it recently because I felt like I wanted another racing game to learn. I was like, I remember playing this game in the past, and I used to be not very good at it, and I'm still not very good at it, but I try.
Is there much of a community for this game? Or for the series, in fact?
There's quite a few. There's probably like 4 or 5 active runners for the Mega Drive version. And the Outrun community itself is quite big, although I'm not really that active in it. There is a glitch you can do, which is kind of one of the things which the speedrunning of this game was founded on, although I'm not actually doing it here. If you change your gear between low and high rapidly, I should have dodged that, I didn't. If you change your gear between low and high rapidly, you can actually maintain your speed even if you're driving off-road. And for the really high class runs, it's called Gear Gacha. and they will basically just drive off-road the whole time, constantly changing gears. That crash did not actually matter that much. And yeah, it looks wrong because you're constantly just driving off-road. But that's why there's a category split between that and the No Gear Gacha version. I think No Gear Gacha is more competitive, but it's kind of the Gear Gacha was what was founded in the olden days of the arcade.
You've got me picturing now the idea of people in the arcade trying to set times before they run out of quarters.
Yeah, and well, there are actually people who do runs on the arcade versions, in like the actual physical arcade versions, and that's always a treat to watch because they're actually physically turning the steering wheel and throwing it around corners and such. And there are reports that because of the whole Gear Gacha thing, like many cabinets have their gear sticks broken because of people continually moving it up and down all the time. It's got to be quite rapid, and the cabinets keep breaking the gear sticks.
I'm sure the community is very popular with the owners.
I mean, nowadays it's mostly people who own their own cabinets who run it, I imagine. There aren't very many of these left in the wild. So yeah, we've finished goal A. And there's one thing that Outrun has is a unique ending for each goal you reach. So depending on whether you choose left or right at each section, you can you reach a different goal at the end here. So you can see there's A to E. This is the reason we have to play through it 5 times, because obviously we can only reach one of those goals each time. I'm going to set the name to McRae because it's McRaeathon. And then we're going to go again. And we're going to change the song because we've had Magical Sound Shower. It's time for Passing Breeze. And yeah, so this time there's only one route you can go to take for goals A and E, but for B, C, and D you have a choice. And there is a fastest, like a generally agreed upon fastest, which is for goal B we go left, left, right, left, and for goal D we go right, right, left, right. For goal C, there's kind of a few different options, and more importantly, we do have to take the middle level at some points. So I tend to do it with goal C and do a left, right, left, right. That's not going to make much sense to many people, but you'll see here. For this first choice, I'm going left, and we're replaying a few stages we've already played through. Obviously, there's not much we can do about this. Obviously, we're going to have to play the first stage 5 times. We'll be doing this stage 3 times. But in general, there's only... We play 25 stages in total, and there's 15 stages. So we're only repeating 10 of them, and 4 repeats of the first level. So generally speaking, there's actually quite a lot of variation throughout the game, throughout the run.
So you mentioned briefly that you run, well, that a lot of people have run Outrun 2. What are the sort of mechanical differences? Because it looks like a very different game.
Outrun 2 is a very different game. No, it was made about 15 16 years later, and it's very drift based. So you come to corners, you slide around corners, and it's about maintaining your drift and keeping your speed that way. Whereas this is much more simple. It's earlier days. It's simple driving around corners. No, it might look like I'm drifting, but this is actually just steering and sliding as a result of turning quickly. There's no drift mechanic in the game. Whereas Outrun 2 is very much. I mean, if you're talking about the basic Outrun mode, it's mostly about drifting. And then you also get things like the heart attack challenges, where you have to do special things like stay in one section of the road and dodge meteors and stuff like that, which is always fun.
So you mentioned in this game that this is, of course, all goals. What sort of categories are there?
So for this game, there's one goal for each goal, one category for each goal. That's the phrase I'm looking for, and one for all goals. And then those are split between No Gear Gacha and Gear Gacha. And on the Mega Drive, I think you can also there's a cheat which gives you like it boosts the game speed, and so there's also a subsection for that as well. I'm not entirely sure how well the increase in speed affects things. I've never actually tried it. I should try it sometime, because it certainly seems interesting. But I should work on not crashing in this first. So there's a constant 5 stages each time you play, which is a bit of a shame, because as we were talking about Outrun 2 before, it has 15 course modes, and in the missions for Outrun 2 there's actually a 30 course race as well, so it's literally a half-hour long race. It would be nice if this did something like that, but I guess they didn't think of that at the time. Going to concentrate here because it's the last couple of corners. And that's goal B done. 40% of the way there, we get the goal B ending, which is different from the others. They're all different. So in this one, you arrive at the end and the car falls apart. You might notice that we're driving a Ferrari Testarossa, but this is not a licensed Ferrari Testarossa, and if it were, I imagine Ferrari would not like the idea of their car falling apart after a 5-minute drive. I know I certainly wouldn't. So we're going to go on to Splash Wave for our third run through. There is a bit of tech that I haven't talked about yet, and that's the start. So when I started running this, I tried getting there's a thing you can do with a fast start, and I couldn't get it, but I've learned how to get it a bit more consistently now. So what you do is, when you at the very start of the run, you get the 3 lights, which basically you're ready, steady, go. If you hit the accelerator just after the second light comes on, so like about a third of a second later, then your revs will be in exactly the right level for when the green light hits, and it will give you a boost in acceleration, so you'll get to top speed a bit faster than you would normally. And if you time your gear change right as well, you can save about a second. Other than that, there's not really any tech to this run. It's just good driving, or in my case, adequate driving. I guess one thing I could talk about is the there is a fan-made remaster of sorts. There's a project called Cannonball, which takes the original source code for the game and ports it to Windows. And with that, it adds all sorts of things like widescreen and 60 frames per second, and the 15 course continuous mode I was talking about earlier. And it also gives you options like being able to have your own music in and creating playlists and such. And on top of that, they also created a course editor, so you can make your own courses. So there's a lot of interesting stuff with the game. We're going to make our way to the middle course now. This is the only time we ever drive this course because it's a very slow course. I should have my splits up so I know what these courses are called, because I never remember. I'm not taking that corner well at all. Yeah, this game was revolutionary for its time, especially in the arcades. You had the standard stand-up cabinet, which is the way most arcade games were played at the time. But with Outrun, you also had a sit-down cabinet, where you'd actually have the chassis of a car. I don't think it was actually the Ferrari Testarossa, but it might have been. It was heavily stylized if it was. But when you actually accelerate and steer, the entire chassis moved, and it would throw you about. And it was, I mean, nowadays there's plenty of machines that do that, including the newer Outruns as well. But again, at the time, this was not something that was done very often. It was quite revolutionary. It's probably one of the things that helped popularize its success, along with the incredible music and the just general aesthetic of the whole thing.
So whilst we run through this, would it be a good time to briefly mention one of our charities?
Sure.
Alright, well, let me say that worldwide, suicide ranks as the third leading cause of death in young people between 15 and 19 years of age, and is the second leading cause of death for girls of this age group. Early recognition of mental health disorders is for reducing suicide rates. Improved treatability and reduced severity of several illnesses, including depression, psychosis, eating and substance abuse disorders. Mind tries to help bring awareness by providing classes at school to inform youth on the topic, and through social media campaigns targeting youth to encourage them to be more open about mental health issues. It is an absolutely fantastic cause to donate to, so please do, if you've got a bit of spare change rattling around in your pocket, please do send it in, because it will be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think I lost you at the end there, but
Yep.
yeah. So we've just finished. Thanks for that, by the way. We've just finished. We've reached goal C. And for goal C, we get awarded a lamp, a magic lamp. And when we rub it, we get our own harem, which I'm pretty sure the girl we've just taken across the world is not going to be too happy with. So we're going to enter McRae again. Right, on to the fourth goal, and we're going to choose Step on Beat. So Step on Beat is actually a track that's exclusive to the Mega Drive. The original arcade had Magical Sound Shower, Passing Breeze, and Splash Wave, but the Mega Drive version adds Step on Beat, which is actually quite a good song. I'm not sure it stands up to the original trio, but it's still great in its own right. You know, I'm more than happy to play it alongside the rest. That was a brief example there of me staying in between lanes, like here, because I can see that my rearview mirror is touching the white line. I know I'm safe from cars on either side. That was a crash. Of course, that doesn't apply to corners. Corners mess everything up. So here we're going to turn right at the first fork for the first time. So this means we're getting some new stages. In fact, I think all 4 of these stages will be new. As in, like, we haven't raced on them before.
Do you have a preference for stages? Is there a particular route you enjoy more than the others?
Well, if I'm speedrunning, it's going to be Goal B all the time because it's the fastest one. But in terms of where I actually like driving, the route I'm taking now, which is going to be right, left, right to Goal D, is probably my favourite because it's got the nicest environments and it's got the most fun levels, I think. Like, especially like the last 2 levels here for Goal D. So they've got quite a wide range of environments. In the last level, you've got the cloud scrolling across the sky, which is something you don't see very often. It makes a really nice effect. Oh, I've just remembered one thing I haven't noticed yet. I haven't mentioned. Next time you see a truck, you might notice it says billion on the back. I think that's a reference to the to one of the developers, but it only says billion on the back if you're on one side of it, because it mirrors itself when you're on the other side, and that just means that it says Nirib. I think it probably should have created like a separate sprite for when it's facing left, but they didn't. I say that and then immediately 0 trucks appear, which is nice. So yeah, this level, like, is one of my favourites as far as the visual identity goes, because you got these grassy bits and you got these archways. I just think the archways look really cool. There's the billion, and it's the fact that it's intermittent as well. So you kind of get the grassy bits, you get the archway bits. It's just a great looking level. And final fork, we're going to head right to Goldie. So I normally run, I run a fair few Spectrum games, and Outrun was released on the Spectrum, but it was really not very good on the Spectrum. And by that I mean, even by the standards of the fact that it's a fairly low power 8-bit computer, it was just really not a good port. It played at about 4 frames per second, and you had to load in between stages from tape. So it completely ruined all sorts of flow you had, and of course you didn't have the great music. So there really is nothing going for it, which is annoying because other similar games like Chase HQ had an amazing port to the Spectrum, but not this one. So we've reached Gold D. I've forgotten what the ending is for this one. Oh, that's right. The trophy. Yep, of course, the girlfriend deserves the trophy for putting up with our driving. So that's 4 goals done. We need to gonna put in McRae once again. I mean, since we are being timed RTA, I probably shouldn't be doing this. I should just be skipping it. But you can't.
Well, a bit of style never hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we got to acknowledge the fact that we're running at McRaeathon. And yeah, so we're doing 5 playthroughs, but we've only got 4 music tracks, so we're going back to Magical Sound Shower for the finale. It's everyone's favourite. I say it's everyone's favourite. I actually prefer Splash Wave, but like Magical Sound Shower is kind of like the agreed upon everyone's favourite, even if it's not actually everyone's favourite. It does have the steel drum solo, so there is that. So yeah, all we've got to do now is goal E, so we're going to head right on every fork. It's the only way we can get to goal E. I'm kind of not liking this traffic. I almost ended up going left there. That wouldn't have been nice.
Checkpoint.
Okay, that was we're not doing too bad. So here we got the clouds again. Again, you've got to compare these visuals to other games of the era, and it's just no comparison. You look at what else was being made in 1986. You've got was that when the original Zelda came out?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that was a console game rather than arcade, but even so, it kind of like puts into perspective like where games were generally compared to what was going on in the arcades, especially with AM2, the division of Sega that made this. We're just constantly pushing boundaries with this and Afterburner and Space Harrier and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to go right at the end of this stage, and it's probably one of my most stressful levels. It's not difficult, but it's just, it can be frustrating to get around some of these corners. I know that from Outrun 2, they kind of had this, they put in this basic philosophy where if you turn left, you get an easy level. If you turn right, you get a harder one. That's not really true for the original game. But having said that, turning right all the way to here does get you a very hard level. That's this lakeside level. The road's fairly wide, which... There I've just proved my point. The road's fairly wide, which you might think should make it fairly easy, but it's just the fact it's constant twists and turns, and because of that you can't really deal with the traffic very easily. The traffic is the one thing that absolutely kills any Outrun run. You know, if the traffic wasn't there, it'd be easy. But then I guess that's kind of the point. I am overestimate. That's good. It's okay, we're nearly done.
So, whilst we're in these latter stages, then, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
To be honest, not really. I mean, like, I guess just generally shout out to the Outrun community. There are some really good guys there, especially the guys who are playing this on hardware, because that's a dying art. Like even the Mega Drive version. I'm emulating this at the moment, but because I don't have a Mega Drive. But the top runners run it on the actual hardware itself, and it's really nice to see. Time is going to come up very shortly, in about 15 seconds or so. There's no actual finish line to see cross, but when the time bonus pops up, that'll be time. Just around this corner, and time.
Well done indeed.
Well, less than 32 minutes, I guess that's fine. So yeah, we get to see the goalie ending.
Congratulations!
Marvellous. As we close it out then, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on DigitalDuck on Twitch. You can find me there. I've also got a YouTube channel, which you can probably find by searching DigitalDuck. And I'm not really on social media otherwise in general, because I just don't really do social media that much.
Understandable.
We'll put in our last McRae just to show off, and
100%.
Yep, and when you've finished all 5 endings, you also get the credits pop up, which is a nice way to show that you've done it.
Nice one. All right then. Thank you very much to you, DigitalDuck, for bringing us this run. We will be back momentarily with another fantastic event. That will be Gran Turismo 2 by Rotor Motor. Stay tuned.